There is an employee at your company who has been there for 7 years. They are reliable, consistent, deeply knowledgeable about how the organization works, and have never caused a day of instability. They are also being paid 15 to 25% less than the person who was just hired to sit beside them and do the same job because the new hire was offered the market rate and the loyal employee's salary has been anchored to a number that was set 7 years ago and adjusted by 3% per year ever since. That loyal employee might be you. And the reason the smartest people in your industry keep leaving every 2 to 3 years is that they ran the math. And the math says loyalty is not a virtue. It is a pay cut that compounds annually. There are 5 specific reasons why staying at the same company too long costs you more than leaving. And the last one explains why the company already factored your loyalty into their budget as a savings line they are counting on you never questioning. Here's why the math always favors the job hoppers, and it has nothing to do with disloyalty. Companies operate on 2 completely different compensation systems, one for attracting talent and one for retaining it. The attraction system pays market rate because it has to. The candidate has competing offers, and the company must match the current market to win the hire. The retention system pays below market rate because it can. The existing employee has inertia, familiarity, relationships, benefits, and the psychological cost of change working against them. The company does not need to pay you market rate to keep you because leaving is expensive and uncomfortable, and they know that. The gap between what the company pays to attract and what it pays to retain is the loyalty tax, and it grows wider every year you stay. 5 reasons the math always favors movement, counting down from 5. Reason number 5, your salary is anchored to the day you started. On the day you were hired, your salary was competitive. The company matched or exceeded the market rate because they needed to win you away from your other options. That number became your anchor. Every raise since then has been calculated as a percentage of that anchor. 3% of your starting number compounded annually, adjusted for budget constraints and internal equity considerations. Meanwhile, the market rate for your role has moved independently, driven by demand, inflation, skill scarcity, and competitive hiring pressure that has nothing to do with your company's internal raise budget. After 3 years, the gap between your anchored salary and the current market rate is typically 10 to 20%. After 5 years, it can exceed 30%. The person who left after 2 years and got hired somewhere else at market rate has been earning at the correct number for 3 years while you have been compounding from the wrong one. This looks like the day you discovered the new hire sitting beside you is making 20% more for the same role, and your manager's only explanation was that the market has moved without acknowledging that your salary did not move with it. The takeaway, your salary was set to market rate the day you were hired. Every day since then, the market moved and your salary did not. The anchor is not protecting you, it is costing you. Reason number 4, your skills are depreciating while you stay. The skill that made you valuable 3 years ago are not the same skills the market is paying top rate for today. Industries evolve, tools change, methodologies update. The professionals who command the highest salaries are the ones whose skill sets reflect what the market needs right now, not what the market needed when they were last hired. When you stay at one company for an extended period, your skills naturally narrow to fit that company's specific systems, processes, and technology stack. You become deeply expert in how this company works, which has enormous internal value and almost zero external value. The job hopper is forced to learn new systems every 2 to 3 years, and that continuous adaptation keeps their skill set aligned with what the broader market is paying for. Your institutional expertise deepens while their market expertise widens, and the market pays for width, not depth. This looks like the interview where you realized your resume listed 5 years of experience with a system nobody outside your company uses, while the candidates who got the offer had 2 years each at 3 different companies using the tools the industry actually standardized on while you were not looking. The takeaway, the skill that got you hired 3 years ago, are not the skills the market is paying top rate for today. Staying still is falling behind even when it feels like expertise. The company pays market rate to attract you and below market rate to keep you. The gap is your loyalty tax. Reason number 3, your title compressed while the market moved. 3 years ago, your title matched your responsibilities. Since then, your scope expanded. You absorbed additional projects, took on informal leadership, managed processes that did not exist when you started, and became the person the team depends on for things that are nowhere in your job description. Your title did not change, though if you listed your actual current responsibilities on a job listing and searched for the matching title, the market would call your role a senior position, possibly 2 levels above your current title. Title compression is the institutional practice of expanding scope without updating the title, because updating the title requires a compensation adjustment, and keeping the old title does not. The job hopper resets their title to match their actual scope at every move, because the new company titles the role based on what the work actually requires, not what the previous company got away with calling it. This looks like the day you searched your actual responsibilities on a job board and found that the matching roles were listed 2 levels above your current title and 30% above your current pay, and you realized the company had been getting a senior role for a mid-level price because you never forced the conversation. The takeaway: your title stayed the same while your responsibilities doubled. The market would call that a senior role. Your company calls it being a team player. Reason number 2: your network is decaying inside one building. Your professional network is one of the most valuable career assets you own, but a network that exists entirely inside one company is not a network. It is a dependency. The longer you stay at one company, the more your professional relationships consolidate inward: colleagues, managers, stakeholders, all from the same institution. When that institution decides your future is over, through a layoff, a restructuring, or a quiet firing, your entire network collapses with the same event that took your job. The job hopper builds relationships across multiple companies, multiple industries, and multiple leadership networks, creating a distributed professional infrastructure that survives any single employer's decision. When they need to move, they have options already warm. When you need to move, you are starting cold, reaching out to contacts who have not heard from you in years because all your networking energy went into one building. This looks like the week after the layoff when you opened your contacts and realized that 90% of the people you know professionally work at the company that just let you go, and the 10% who work elsewhere have not heard from you since you stopped maintaining the relationship 3 years ago. The takeaway: in a professional network that exists entirely inside one company is not a network. It is a dependency that collapses the moment the institution decides you are leaving. But none of these reasons compare to reason number 1, and this is the one that changes how you think about every year you have spent at your current company. Every year you stay without a market rate correction is a year you paid the company to employ you. Reason number 1: the company already priced in your loyalty. Here is the institutional truth that makes every other reason on this list feel structural rather than accidental. Your company's compensation budget is not designed to pay every employee at market rate. It is designed to pay new hires at market rate and existing employees at below market rate, because the budget model assumes that a predictable percentage of the workforce will stay regardless of the pay gap. Your loyalty is not a surprise benefit the company receives gratefully. It is a budgeted assumption, a financial line item that the institution counts on every year when projecting payroll costs. The gap between your salary and your market value is not an oversight that the company forgot to fix. It is a savings line the company is actively profiting from, and they are counting on your inertia, your comfort, your relationships, and your fear of starting over to keep you paying it. This looks like the fiscal year report where the company celebrated coming in under budget on payroll, and you realize the under budget performance was funded by the accumulated loyalty tax of every employee who stayed without demanding a market correction. Your staying power is their savings line, and they have no incentive to tell you because telling you would cost them the discount. This does not mean you should leave every job after 18 months. It means you should understand the math that runs underneath every decision to stay and make sure your decision to stay is strategic rather than default. There are legitimate reasons to stay at a company longer than 2 to 3 years: genuine development opportunities, a manager who invests in your growth, equity that vests on a timeline, institutional relationships that have real career value, and personal stability that matters to you. But staying because you are comfortable, because leaving feels risky, because you have not updated your resume in 4 years, or because you convinced yourself that loyalty will eventually be rewarded, that is not a strategy. That is inertia, and inertia has a price. Here's the honest closing. The smartest people in your industry are not disloyal. They just understand something most professionals learn too late: that loyalty without leverage is a subsidy, and the company will accept that subsidy for as long as you are willing to pay it. They are not chasing titles. They are resetting their salary to market rate every 2 to 3 years because they understand that the internal raise system will never close the gap, that their skills need continuous market exposure to maintain value, and that a professional network confined to one building is a career risk, not a career asset. Know your market value, not as a one-time exercise, but as a continuous awareness that you update every 6 months. Keep your resume current even when you are not looking, because the best time to negotiate is when you do not need to leave, and you cannot negotiate without knowing your options. Build your network outside your company, because the relationships that survive a layoff are the ones that were never dependent on the institution in the first place. And decide whether your current company is paying for the value you provide or profiting from the loyalty you give, because those are 2 very different financial arrangements and only one of them serves you. Loyalty is a strategy, not a default. And the math always favors the person who knows their market value, whether they choose to stay or choose to leave.